here are 5 quick steps to get you started revising your novel. Okay, so first of all, when you start revising, you want to print your novel out in some different kind of format from how you wrote your first draft. So if it's on your computer, print it out so it's hard copy. If you wrote it by hand, consider typing it up on a computer and printing it out, or making copies of it so it just looks different from your first draft. So what I did is I went ahead and I printed out a human first draft. So welcome. Thank you for coming.
Hi.
This is my novel. Oh, she looked great. She's a first draft. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, so before you start reading, this is step 2. You want to think, what was your original intention back when you started writing your first draft? So maybe you wanted to tell a quirky adventure story, or you wanted to explore a relationship between a mother and a daughter. Just jot it down, 1 or 2 sentences. You don't have to stick to it, but it can be helpful to get yourself back into that original mindset. You were so young back then.
I know.
You've grown. Okay, 3. You're going to want to read your novel, your first draft, but not as a picky writer. You want to read it as a reader. So read it fast, read it how you'd read a good book that you were reading. You only want to pause to make really general notes, like places where the story really sparkles, like you're really into it, it sounds really good, and places where the story is dull, which I mean it's either maybe boring or confusing, or a part isn't fleshed out enough, it's a little weak. So consider maybe using 2 different colored pens or 2 different markers. So I have my 2 markers to make notes when it sparkles or when it gets a little dull. And don't try to fix it, just jot down like what's happening. Like for instance, like this part, I'm going to draw a little question mark. I don't understand why the character is acting this way.
Yeah, me neither.
I know, it doesn't make sense. It made sense at the time.
I know.
It sounded good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now it doesn't. 4, when you finished reading your whole first draft, you want to pause and write a 2 to 3 page synopsis of the novel you just read. So not the novel you thought you wrote, but what you just read. What happened in those in all those pages?
A lot.
A lot, yeah.
A lot.
A lot happened. And then 5. So now it's time to use your notes that you took all over your drafts, the synopsis that you wrote at the end, and that original intention that you jotted down as a kind of jumping off point for all of your rewrites. You would probably want to focus, in this first rewrite, you probably want to focus on big things like make sure there's conflict throughout your novel, so make sure stuff is happening and get intense all through your story. 2, make sure your characters really pop, so they make decisions, they make mistakes, they're really unique human beings.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like to think so.
And 3, just take care of those spots that you marked as dull, so things that were boring or confusing or weak sections that you wanted to build up, like that left bicep maybe.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
bulk it up a little bit. And by the end, things may change a lot. So you may end up moving pieces to different parts of the story. You may end up editing parts out. You may end up adding like whole new parts in places. And by the end of your first draft, when you've written your second draft, you may end up deleting everything you wrote in your first draft and have a brand new story to look at.
Wait, what?
Don't worry, it's fine. She's fine. For more writing tips like this, subscribe to our YouTube channel and check us out at NaNoWriMo.org.